Welcome, everybody, to episode 63 of Two Goalies, One Mic. Big night for Buffalo Sabres fans. We win the draft lottery, the worst thing you could possibly win because it means you were the worst team in the league last year, or one of the worst.
Definitely.
Something we're pretty used to here in Buffalo. I am joined by producer Steve from Two Goalies, One Mic, Pat's from the boys from the Hockey Dummies, and of course Sean from Point Shot in Vancouver. We have a really dynamic podcast here, really diverse, all different areas of North America. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I was so excited for you, buddy. Like when the first thing that came to mind as soon as the Sabres, I think Pat's texted me. He was like, "Oh man, fucking Duane must be just jerking off right now." He was pretty excited. So we just started thinking about you immediately, buddy. So hats off, congrats to you guys.
I mean, I don't know if I don't know. The fact that you're thinking about me in that manner, I don't know whether to be flattered or just very weird.
Definitely be flattered. Pat's is always thinking about you like that. I just thought about you like that tonight.
I mean, I appreciate it, I guess. I mean,
you see the 69 in the background.
Hey, Duane, is this family friendly or what is this?
You can go off the cuff here. Be responsible. Don't be irresponsible, but
Well, if you've listened to our podcast, this is what you're getting from us. Because as soon as you said 63, episode 63, I was thinking 63.
It's four.
Right? It's fun, man. We have three miserable fan bases here, and I guess we're trying to celebrate something it was good. It's a good thing that happened with us tonight. But of course, we win the lottery when there isn't a consensus first overall pick.
Right.
It's Owen Power. Is it Beniers? Is it Clark? Who is it? Johnson. The one good thing is we have a friend of the program, Steve Shields, one of the coaches of Michigan, the Wolverines. He's the goalie coach, and really doing a lot of great work with Sabres prospect Eric Portillo over at Michigan. And I shot him a text. I'm like, so it looks like we're drafting a Wolverine. Which one is it going to be? I'm excited. I'm indifferent. I really don't know exactly how to feel right now because there's so many question marks. You have Jack Eichel with the injury issues. Does he want to stay? Does he want to leave? Sam Reinhart's comment, Vancouver native. Does he want to stay? Does he want to leave? Doesn't want to be around for the rebuild. Rasmus Ristolainen doesn't want to be around for the rebuild, but who gives a shit about Rasmus Ristolainen at this point, honestly? I hate saying it, that he's a hardworking defenseman. You're not going to find a harder worker on the team, honestly, than Rasmus Ristolainen. It would just be nice if, the hard work translated into high hockey IQ, which is, no, it hasn't been around. So we'll go around the table.
Is that the knock? Is that the knock on him to win? Because we kind of talk a little bit about the fantasy perspective in our podcast as well. And I've had Ristolainen. He came into the from a fantasy standpoint. I love the guy. He's one of my best defenders every year. But then in terms of, and when I watch the Leafs, because Pats and I were obviously at TML in Toronto St. Pat's, we're both Leaf fans. So I only watch them whenever they're playing the Leafs, and I'm a big fan of his. Like I've always said, I wish he was on the Leafs. Like, what is it about him that you don't really care if he came back? It's his IQ.
Yeah, Ristolainen. It's just at this point in your career, you can no longer, even though he's still young, it's like what you see is what you get. And his play really started, collapse after the injury to Jake McCabe. Because he did start off to have a very good season, but I think having Jake McCabe on the other side of the blue line with him really helped his game a lot. And then when McCabe got hurt and was out for the year, you really started to see this same old Ristolainen, making boneheaded plays. Not we as a coach with this, he was a saying, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, and that should be applied to the game of Rasmus Ristolainen because he would never keep it simple. But you can never deny the fact that he works hard and he cares. He cares a lot. And I just wish that would just translate into, making smarter decisions on the ice.
Right. What about Jacob Bryson? He was a guy actually in fantasy that I just picked up off the wire. Like I was kind of scouring young kids, getting lots of minutes, playing D, and fantasy wise he was okay. But it's hard to say that if he had a good season or not when the Sabres as a collective haven't had an awful year. Like I'm looking at their defense core right now. You got Ristolainen, you got Colin Miller, and you got Bryson signed into next year. You got Darlene and Yokiharu as RFAs, and you got Borgen as a RFA as well. Like, how do you guys see the top six rounding up in Buffalo? And does Owen Powers fit into that?
If Buffalo does take Owen Powers, by the way, Steve, your mic is muted, buddy. We can't hear you. There you go. But it does depend on what they decide to do with the first overall pick. Personally, for me, Jacob Bryson is a guy that I don't see being on this team next year unless it's, this past season injury. I would rather see him as good as he was in certain moments for us. I'd like to see him spend another year in Rochester. There's nothing wrong with that. I think we have some decent young defensemen, but I just don't want to bring them into this environment. If you guys understand what I'm saying, this culture that we've had last year, even though under Don Granato that culture seemed to vastly improve, I definitely don't want to see him being exposed to anything negative or any defenseman for that matter. I personally, Will Borgen is a guy you'll see in this lineup for sure. Obviously, Darlene, a lot of question marks surrounding Ristolainen. Yokiharu has always been solid for us, so we'll see. I can't wait. Here we go. Here's a hot take. Why is you love to see it. You love to see it. He's got the V-neck.
We have to have one piece of eye candy on the show. Otherwise,
it's not me. That's for sure.
Yeah,
bunch of white dudes, facial hair, talking hockey.
Pats is over. Hold on. Pats is over here. Got the leg up and everything.
Yeah,
that's a thighs out, baby.
Yeah,
look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Foot in the shot.
Look at this. He's trying. He's showing some leg. He's showing some leg.
You got all your triple bogey gear on.
Yeah, you love to see it. But Sean, we'll kick it over to you. Your Vancouver Canucks were involved in the draft lottery. How do you feel about where you guys ended up?
We didn't fall backwards. That's like Canuck tradition, is we always lose ground in the draft lottery. So we stayed exactly where we were. I'm happy. I actually I don't know. Anytime you win the lottery, it's a good thing, even in a year like this. But out of all of the years, I didn't particularly want to win this one. So I'm really happy with 9. I feel good there. My big thing is we have Quinn Hughes. I don't particularly want Luke Hughes. And I feel like we would have been kind of forced to make that pick if we were high enough to take him. Now we're behind New Jersey. New Jerseys are going to take him, and we're good. Yeah. So I just want Brandt Clark, which isn't going to happen now. So
Brandt Clark out of Slovakia, right?
Yeah.
He looks like a solid defenseman too.
Well, and he's a right-hand D, exactly what the Canucks need. I don't know. That part's a loss.
Last year, the 9th pick last year was Marco Rossi. So the 9th pick can always be a really good pick if people before you make some unexpected choices.
I couldn't believe Marco Rossi fell to 9. To be 100% honest with you, that was wild to me.
Me neither. I couldn't believe that. Canucks also picked Captain Bo Horvat.
I'm still just a tiny bit salty about that decision to choose Jack Quinn. I like Jack Quinn. I liked what I saw when he played in Rochester. He's definitely going to need a few more years to get NHL caliber, but he wasn't playing like shit. I actually paid for AHL TV. I watched several Americans games. The kid's doing what he's doing. It's taken a while to get his game up to that full caliber, but Marco Rossi comparatively he's a sure thing. Granted, he's been his health has been awful this year.
Yeah, he got hit hard by COVID.
Yeah, he got hit hard by COVID like nobody else did. So I really hope the dude's okay. But before that,
so,
I'm not gonna lie, with that Jack Quinn pick, I like Jack Quinn a lot, but I did laugh. Because it was just such a Buffalo Sabres pick.
I didn't laugh. I gotta be honest.
It was Marco Rossi is right there, the consensus pick as the next best player.
That's what I'm saying.
It was wild.
I agree. I full-heartedly agree with you, boys. Like, I remember seeing that draft. I watched Quinn in the World Junior. I watched every single game of Team Canada. He was not a factor at all.
No, he wasn't.
He didn't really slide in good with anybody. I actually had a funny draft story too for the Sabres. When in the 2016 draft, when Buffalo hosted, I was there and I was sitting in the stands, and there's a couple Sabres fans behind me, and they were coming up to pick, and they said, "Who would you take here?" And I said, "I would take Sergachev." I said, He would fit in perfectly.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on the the Nylander draft. It was the Nylander
and
draft.
they took Nylander. And they looked at me and they said, "How about this guy?" I was like, "No, you guys made the wrong choice."
Yeah.
We needed a defense. We needed a defenseman so badly, and I was actually that draft was in Buffalo, and I was with my cousin Tommy, and like you thought for sure they were going defense. No way they're not going defense, right? There's just no way they're not going to draft a defenseman here. And they went and said Nylander, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man!
Yeah.
Like,
It could be
was the
worse.
best player on the board.
I mean,
and they need a D.
We
could have
did
been
trade
worse.
Nylander
We went D.
for Yoki Haru.
Yeah, but you could
So,
have.
so at the end of the day, we did get D out of that pick.
Yeah,
It just took a while.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
just
just
D in the A as well, getting there.
That was
Yeah.
the Yolevi draft, just so you guys know. So it could be worse. We picked 5th overall and ended up with Oli Yolevi.
Oh yeah,
Matt Tkachuk went the next
Who?
pick.
I know.
And then
Exactly.
Sergachev later, Charlie McAvoy. Like, we all kind of knew that they were going to go D, but like Sergachev was my pick even at 5. Like,
Yeah.
right. So right now, Sportsnet, their rankings as of May 12th, this is what they got. Owen Power, it seems to be a consensus first overall pick. Then Matthew Beniers, also out of University of Michigan, plays a complete game and combines an excellent work ethic with fierce competitiveness. And then 3, as you mentioned before, Sean, Brant Clark from the out of the OHL, the Barrie Colts, sees the game 2 steps ahead. Is terrific on the power play, but takes calculated risks to be a part of the offense at even strength too. I like hearing that a lot, and from a defenseman. The high hockey IQ. Something we haven't seen a ton of here in Buffalo. Simon Edvinsson from Frölunda out of Sweden. Aside from the obvious nationality collection, he won't escape the Victor Hedman comparisons, and those are legit based where Hedman was at this time in 2009. And then just a few more. Dylan Gunther, right wing out of the Edmonton Oil Kings, WHL, and another University of Michigan product. Kent Johnson, center, maybe the best in class when it comes to creativity and elusiveness with a puck on his stick. Mentioned before, Luke Hughes, ranked 8th, U.S. National Development Program. The NTDP has been given the NHL a lot of quality hockey players over the last 5-6 years too. Skating and puck skills show top pairing potential. Size at 6 foot 270 pounds is an asset with his evolving defensive side. That's another thing too, is you just cannot teach size, and that's when you talk about a kid like Owen Power, where so many people are against him. The things I've heard on him, he's an immaculate skater, but he's also he has a very big frame for his age, and if you let him develop and you allow him, you don't rush him and put a ton of pressure on him at an early age, you could really develop into a nice defenseman. But that's Buffalo's MO. They don't like to, let guys develop. Outside of Dylan Cousins, which was surprising. I'm surprised he didn't get rushed into the lineup. That's not really Buffalo's MO.
Right. My diamond in the rough in this draft, and not that he's really a diamond in the rough because he's still expected to be a first round pick, is Mason McTavish. I think whoever goes out and takes Mason McTavish is going to get themselves an NHL player for the next 15 years. I see him slotting in as being a really good number 2 centerman. Watching him play for the U18s with Canada this year, you guys were talking about Brent Clark earlier. He was dynamite. Even just love Brent Clark's interviews. Like, if you listen to him speak, just a really, really, well-spoken young man. Like, I was kind of impressed with him. It was almost like he was, these guys coming up these days are like over-coached, but he was just like, it sounded like he was like a 27-year-old veteran talking to these guys at the U18s. But Mason McTavish, hard-nosed center, shut down, still score, will run you into the boards, win face-offs. just one of those guys that you win with. So I think, he's might not go in the top 10. He could, but I think whoever ends up getting this kid in the first round is gonna have a real player. So watch out for him.
And we're fighting off my demons, fighting off your demons, missed checking out the show here late, but I think we should trade the pick for some solid depth. I think a lot of what they decide to do at 1 really again depends on what happens with Jack and Sam, because if you do convince either of those guys to stick around, especially maybe it's a little bit easier winning the draft lottery. I've been saying it since the end of the season. Even before this season, the one thing this team has lacked for a long, long time, even before the Ryan O'Reilly ordeal, this is something they've lacked since Briere and Drury split town at free agency. One of the darkest days in Buffalo Sabres history is they haven't had depth down the middle. They have never had a legitimate 1 through 3 center group. They just haven't. And now you could have that with Jack, Sam, and Cousins. Even Middlestat performed very well at center after Granato took over. He performed very well. He started to live up to that 8th overall pick a little bit and showed he could be a top 6 contributor. And, of course, when you finally get that, you finally have that in front of you. And I was very optimistic. Of course, Jack Eichel, this injury stuff, wherever that may be when he says it in terms of where he's playing next year. And Sam Reinhart's just like, yeah, I'm tired of losing. I just, of course. Why not? Why not? Like,
we're tired of watching them lose. I get it. I'm tired of this too. I just want to be above the bottom 20. Is that too much to fucking ask? I want to fight for the playoff spot and lose it rather than just know by January that there's no hope. That it's mathematically impossible.
What's your percentage? What's your percentage on Eichel coming back? From the interviews that I listened to, it seems grim, boys. I hate to say it.
I mean, he may personally not want to stay, but just given the way the market is right now, I think it's 50-50. He may want to leave, but I also think the Pagulas are just barely smart enough to know that if they can't get what he's actually worth, regardless of flat cap, regardless of everything else, they're not gonna make another Ryan O'Reilly trade a star for parts deal.
Yeah,
because then they'll be run out of fucking town.
Yeah,
it'll be Duane will be leading the mob with a pitchfork.
That's the
down
key,
to
right?
Florida to the super yacht wherever it's docked.
That's the key.
Yeah,
that is not letting him go for anything less than what he's worth. You can hold on to him. I would say fuck it. I would let him sit out a season before I just give him away for parts like that, right? Or there's been talk of, do you package Skinner with them to get Skinner's money off the books?
Who's taking 20
now,
million?
hold on. Hey,
20 million.
Whoa.
Now, producer Steve likes this.
Maybe we could convince assistant GM Jason Bartle over in Seattle to make up for making that terrible deal in the first place.
Yeah.
Captain Jack Kraken.
Captain Jack, man, that would be pretty.
Captain Jack Kraken.
I like that.
And also take Skinner.
As a Canuck fan, I do not like that. I do not want Jack Eichel anywhere near Vancouver.
Join us on the East Coast.
As a rival.
You get to pick number 1 and number 2 this draft. Eichel goes to Seattle. That could be interesting.
But again, not a deep draft. But
No,
the problem with trading
draft.
Eichel is that you're never ever going to get reasonable
No.
value for him.
No,
Right?
no.
You just aren't.
What's reasonable value for Eichel?
Reasonable value, there is no market for that. What's the precedent?
It would need to
think
be.
about it,
It would need to be a Line A Dubois type deal.
Real quick.
Even that,
Yeah.
that's fucking, that's
I
shit
mean,
too, right?
Obviously, the Blue Jays are playing in Buffalo right now, and hot off the presses, fan with a sign. You love to see it. Look at that. Oh my God! Look at that man. Now we saw your baseball team.
President of Hockey Ops, that guy.
What a piece of shit.
Yo, that's my dad. Fuck you, dude.
That's a piece of shit, Steve.
That piece of shit. Oh, that was absolutely unbelievable. That was fantastic. That
That's a
really
good
He's
just,
a very young-looking guy.
I have another. I have
Don't
so
worry
many
about it.
Sabres questions. You guys are like a fucking riddle to me. Casey Middlestat, what's his future?
Don't worry, they're a riddle to themselves too.
yeah, we are a riddle to ourselves. Don't even worry about it.
Middlestat, the last 20 games, once the Sabres were really fucked, Middlestat actually started to play good.
Yep.
What is his future? Like, I thought he was going to be a player. I was so high on him. I thought that was a great pick. He hadn't really panned out. And at the end of the season, he started to show some signs. I'm just curious to know what you guys think in Buffalo.
I'll let Steve lead it off first.
Well, I think part of that equation is Don Granato the full-time head coach of this team, because it seems like when Donnie was running the ship, he was bringing out the best play from a lot of people. I feel like some of the only people who didn't really like excel under Donnie were like Skinner on Okposo. Everyone else was like, they were doing things better than they were before when Ralph was running things. That said, like, I don't think Middlestat is ever going to meet the expectations people had of him at the draft. I think that's just a reality that everyone just needs to. It's not really a tough pill to swallow, because we've seen the product on ice long enough that like but we just need to, like, he's not going to be the Sabres starting center, but like, if he ends up being our number 3 guy who's like reliable, can consistently win faceoffs, can just, be that, do the thing that their third line has been doing, just like be gritty, win the puck battles, keep possessions. That way you can eventually transition like a higher scoring line into the offensive zone. But every so often, like, if you get the look, you have the skill to make the shot yourself and actually bury it.
Right.
Like, I would be perfectly content if he can continue this trajectory of just, like being the top end of the depth. I'm perfectly okay with that.
Right. Yeah. Have like Eichel, Cousins, Middlestat, and you put Reinhardt on the wing in the top 6. You know what I mean? Like, you could do like that.
Well, that actually brings us back to the next point of contention, that if we're going to keep Reinhardt around, he's more useful at a center spot. So I think Cousins should probably go back to right wing on either Eichel or Sam's right side if Reinhardt and Jack are sticking around.
Gotcha.
And I think if Jack
Middlestat.
sticks around, Reinhardt might be more inclined to stick around. But again, these are all big what ifs that are contingent on management and ownership doing things that make sense. And once again, this is Buffalo, so we don't know I don't know what the fuck to tell you, but
It's a coin flip.
I want to be hopeful, but I've also been watching this team for 20 years. So we don't fucking know. I really don't know.
For me, Casey Middlestat, one of the things that always kind of plagued him, at least from the fans, was he committed enough off the ice? We rushed him into the situation he wasn't ready for. Because remember, that first year at Minnesota and that strong showing in the World Junior Tournament, that he was fresh out of high school. He was an 18-year-old kid. His body wasn't ready for the NHL, but he had a strong showing in 8 games with Buffalo. Not even 8 games, under 8 games. At the end of the season, he had like a handful of goals. He looked the part. He had the beautiful hands, and he was rushed into a situation he wasn't ready for, and it showed. Like, his first season, like, the kid was not ready. He should have spent another year at Minnesota, but again, you had ownership that was desperate to bring a kid in that can maybe put fans in the seats. You have a team that's desperate for talent, and it sucks. It really did suck to see the way that that all transpired. Now under the right coach, and I'm a Casey Middlestat apologist, because I thought he should have been like a suitcase between here and Rochester. And I'll say this: he really
is there a
proved me
team in
wrong.
Batavia?
Yeah, right. I think there is a spot for him with this team as long as he continues to keep developing the way he did under Granato. And I think a guy like Casey Middlestat is the reason why Granato keeps his job, because he did something with that kid that no coach before him could get out of him. And he kept Reinhardt at center, where you drafted him to play begin with. And, it was, I think, kudos to Donnie Meatballs. It's nice to
Donnie
see.
Meatballs.
Donnie Meatballs.
I fucking love Donnie.
Yeah, right. It's
He's a
so
good kid.
he is, and again, there's a lot of potential and a lot to be optimistic about the team as it sits right now. I really do believe that, and people will call me crazy, but I do believe that if you keep this team as it sits right now, and you're going into a landscape of free agency, much like last year, where you can get value players at a low price. Look what Duclair and Verhaeghe signed for him in Florida. They were paying both those guys a total of $2.7 million this year.
Yeah.
The cap isn't going up. And you're probably going to have teams out there who do have a lot of cap flexibility, helping out other teams that are up against the cap and said, hey, we'll take on this bad contract, but you got to send us this too. There's going to be a lot of that going on, I think, this year in free agency. And a lot of, again, guys not signing long-term deals. They're not going to be offering a lot of who like Pietrangelo got the longest deal last free agency. I think he was the only guy to get like an 8-year deal. Leonard signed a 5-year deal with Vegas. Hoffman, the leading goal scorer in free agency, didn't sign until 2 weeks before the season started.
Yeah.
And he did it was like a tryout contract or something stupid like that. That's what you're probably going to get. And that's what made me hopeful, as the team sits now before those exit interviews. It's like you can fill in holes on the short term. You can find guys to plug in, let the youth still develop. Don't rush them. Don't put too much pressure on them. And you could put a really competitive team on the ice because of that center ice depth. Now, who the fuck knows?
Yeah. I think at this point, after last year with Kevin, now he's gotten those growing pains out where like you can't spend this kind of free agency chasing after that golden ticket player, because clearly just chasing after the one big contract, it blew up in your fucking face. Where if you can spend that same $8 million on 2 or 3 players that fill very necessary pieces of the puzzle, that let the people that are in the like necessary spots do what they need to do, and like also have a little bit of that pressure taken off, where it's like not only Eichel's line producing, or I don't know. It just I hope that again, this is all contingent on having faith that when Kevin Adams says I have actual control to make hockey decisions, that's actually true. Right. And if that's actually true, hopefully he has learned something from last year and he will, try to follow the blueprint that Florida made, that, worry about the smaller pieces that are important rather than just trying to fix all the parts that are wrong with a car. Don't just put a new fucking coat of paint on it and call it a day.
Right. Yeah.
Well, not having Ralph around is helpful because Taylor Hall was his boy, right? Like he wanted to play with Taylor Hall again. So he wanted to bring him into town, and thought that they would work magic just having a duo of him and Michael that blew up in his face.
Yeah, I don't know how much stock we can give Ralph Kruger for being like integral to that deal, but like they I think it was more just like Kruger needed some good PR, so it's like they like kept playing up that past relationship that they had. Like,
but if you listen to like interviews with Hall around the signing, he was like, the reason why I'm coming here is because of the opportunity that was pitched to me. Like,
because
I think a big part of it was
nicer thing to say than Buffalo's giving me $8 million fucking dollars.
Well, here's the thing though. Here's another thing too. Is honestly Kruger had nothing to do with it. Taylor Hall saw what Jeff Skinner got paid from playing with Jack Eichel, and any agent and just common sense player in free agency is like, well, I saw what happened with Jeff Skinner playing along with Jack Eichel, $9 million. I like
yourself 1 year and rake it in.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just think the biggest mistake in that whole scenario was giving him the no trade clause, because you put yourself in a situation where you gave him literally all the power. You gave him all the power to determine where he was going to go, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And he just had to go to Boston.
Yeah, it looks pretty good in Boston.
Yeah.
He's playing like an MVP again.
Yeah.
What do you guys
all right,
let's.
What's that?
What do you guys think about what Buffalo actually got in that Hall deal when they traded him?
I mean, Anders Bjork is playing okay. Like, he's definitely less like invisible as I thought he was going to be. Just like on the initial reaction of like Anders Bjork and a second round pick. Like,
I was like, is there something else coming?
And you took Lazar?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Like, why'd he have to go?
As a win at all?
Leave Lazar alone. I want to see him try to fight Chara again.
I don't see that as a win at all for Buffalo, though. Like,
I mean, it's not, but like at least Anders has the capacity to play hockey. Like, he's here and he's here now. He's not somebody. He's not somebody that we pick and hope in 3 years he's doing something in blue and gold.
You could get lucky with that second round pick. You never know. But I mean, shit, Bjork and a second round pick.
I know.
Compared to the Foligno trade,
it could have been Chicken Parmary and Zajac.
compared directly to the Foligno trade, and it's a brutal return for Buffalo. Like,
that's Buffalo, baby.
How about
Nick Foligno is bad. Like, Corey Perry is a better player in every way.
Foligno did nothing for us. He did nothing.
Foligno
for
was
us.
also hurt.
He fought.
But I
Corey
tried to-
Perry. He fought Corey Perry for something that was a complete accident and didn't need to be done, and it was dumb.
See,
I don't know. I don't think it was dumb. I don't agree with the fact that I don't think it was dumb. I think he explained the way Foligno explained that fight afterwards was basically it had to be done so guys would move on, and that was it. Get back to playing hockey. He didn't want any vigilante justice. Not that the fucking Leafs would do that anyway.
I didn't think that was going to happen, though.
What's that?
No, I think everybody was so rattled that.
Well,
I guess that's
rattled, but then it was okay. Let's move on, close the chapter, and get back to playing hockey, which they clearly didn't. You know, games 2, 3, and 4 they did, and then they just went off.
At least you guys found yourselves a goaltender. I am a big fan of Jack Campbell. He's the he's my co-host Jonathan Cullen's former goalie partner when he played in the O, and I'm really happy to see you guys finally get yourselves a goaltender, and glad he's an American. And it's nice to see that guy finally get a crack at being a number one goaltender. And really, again, I know the North Division wasn't the strongest, but he really rode with it. And it seems like you guys got that spot figured out. And I think Duba said they're interested in keeping Frederick Anderson around.
He's not sticking around.
I mean, if I'm him, I wouldn't either.
No, he's not coming back. No way.
He's not coming back.
No.
Do you guys want Carter Hutton? He's free.
I'll take Linus Ullmark.
No,
we'll take Ullmark.
We want Ullmark.
For me,
are you guys an actual second?
Are you guys going to go to Ullmark and Ukko-Pekka if for next year? Is that going to be the tandem?
I don't want to see
UPL's
them rush
ready.
I don't think he's ready.
No.
UPL is a guy. Personally, if you ask me, the future franchise goaltender is currently at Michigan right now, Eric Portillo. I'll pull up his numbers here in a second, but he only played 7 games as a true freshman, but he had a 1.67 goals against average in the Big Ten, which as a freshman, and you've seen his play consistently develop over the past few years. He's a big kid. He's bigger than UPL, and he's got a great goalie coach over there in Steve Shields. So I really think he's the future. I don't mind having a good goaltending tandem of UPL and Portillo. But Linus Ullmark having the hip surgery he had, the injury history, it's I'm not willing to break the bank for a goalie who has had issues trying to play a full season.
Right. Well, I have Ullmark on my fantasy league, so I watch some of these guys pretty close, and watching the Sabres and what they're giving up, and for the games that he played in, I believe he only played in 20 games, but for the games that he played in. I would say for 15 of them, he was their best player.
Oh, for sure. I'm not taking it.
Hard to do, though.
Behind center ice.
Again, low bar.
I would want to hang on to him. He's 27. I would want to. He's a UFA, so I'm really curious to see what he's going to get. He was making 2.6 last year. He could go as high as 4 plus.
Yeah, that's fine, but we also need a genuine second. We can't just rely solely on Linus Ullmark, especially if he can't truly play a whole season if he just keeps getting hurt.
This is a league where you need a good goaltending tandem for sure. We couldn't depend on Carter Hutton to really carry the load for us.
You can't depend on Carter Hutton to carry a fucking backpack.
No.
I'm sorry. Does that mean?
I don't know if I see Jack Campbell playing 55 games next year, 60 games next year either, right? So, like I would love to have somebody like an Omar Campbell combo, something like that, because I'm not sure what Toronto's going to do, but they're going to be up against a cap again.
Well, they better fucking blow it right up.
No, man. Well, hey, we're doing our podcast tomorrow. Live 8:00 on DeanBlundell.com, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what's that?
We're only Tuesday right now.
I can't even hear you with your microphone.
What the fuck is today? Today's Tuesday, right?
No, today's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday already?
Yeah,
it's Wednesday. Yeah.
Have you guys been drinking that much that you don't know what the fucking day of the week is?
I've only had one
lead.
Friday,
I'm good.
So don't even.
Well, and Duane and Pat, you guys are going live tonight, aren't you? After the Jets.
Supposed to. We'll see. Yeah, but listen, like, I forgot what we were talking about.
One of the days of the week.
What year is it?
Yeah, October.
Oh my god,
I remember.
We just won the cup.
Yeah. If I'm the Leafs, like your number one priority is another goaltender to help with Campbell, and there's decent options. Like there's not a lot of them, but I mean it's a pretty thin free agent class. But I don't know, like an Antti Ranta, that's pretty decent.
Again, the guy who's always hurt.
He's always hurt. He's always hurt.
But if he's only relied to play like 30 games, 35 games, then that's not too bad.
Yeah, like when you have to play Buffalo and it's already a sure thing.
Yeah, you just throw him out to ice it. Yeah.
Toronto had a lot of interest.
I'm kidding, Dwayne.
Toronto had a lot of interest in Allmark. Toronto had a lot of interest in Allmark around the trade deadline. Yeah. There was a lot of talk about the Leafs trying to pitch to try to get him out of the Sabres organization. Didn't happen. But that's what I'm kind of hoping for. That's the kind of tandem that I would like.
In a second.
Biggest thing is you need somebody cheap, right? So that you can allocate those funds from Freddie Henderson leaving to fill some holes in the rest of your lineup, right?
Well, you got to sign. Hyman's going to get $5 million, right? So
you guys would be stupid not to bring back Zach Hyman. I love me some Zach Hyman. I would love him on the Sabres. Man. That guy is all heart.
Anybody would love him on their team.
He's all heart, man. I love it. I love Jack Campbell's his comments about how hard he was on himself and how he took a blunt of that and he was in tears. Like, you love to see that kind of heart in a player, a guy who cares that much. And it's not like he didn't perform. The guy, what did he go down the stretch? Was it 16-2-2? Some obnoxiously unreal number. 17. Yeah, it was insane. And
yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, I mean, to have that type of heart, a guy who cares that much and who has the ability to perform that well, again, albeit in a weaker division, I mean, I'm very interested to see where you guys go with that, that whole situation, because I think he's absolutely earned his opportunity to be like a full-time starter for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
He definitely needs to start next season as the number one.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
I said it like 2 months ago when Freddie was hurt. I said Campbell's going to be the number one, and that's it. And I think Steve, you said no way. I think that's because we traded him in our hockey pool.
I think I'm fine with Campbell, but I wouldn't go over 50 games. So it's got to be like a 50-32 start. So you need to get somebody that's going to come in and actually going to give you 32 good games, because like Duane was saying earlier, this is the NHL these days is a 2-goalie league.
Yep. Yeah. I'm going to pull it up right here. We have Linus Ullmark's stats, obviously, from this past season. We have, obviously, again, he had a good year, considering the circumstances and how bad this team was, went 9-6. It does not showing his goals against there, but I'm pretty sure his goals against was fairly in the lower twos.
2.63. It's 2.63, and his save percentage was 9.17.
Yep. And obviously he dealt with the injuries. But he absolutely proved that he could honestly carry the load. Another one here, I want to bring up Owen Power, his numbers, obviously, from this past season and his World Junior here. He has 3 points in 7 games in the World Championships, and obviously 16 points in 26 games. That's what you're kind of you're getting a solid defenseman who has offensive capability. but really there is still a big question mark about how good is he really, and is he worthy of the first overall pick. And then I did one other thing I wanted to bring up too real quick was Eric Portillo's numbers. Absolutely, I got a guy you see that has consistently, continuously really progressed over the years, obviously coming out of a very difficult program in Sweden, played in the USHL. That year in the USHL, he was voted player and goaltender of the year, I believe. His second-round pick, and just, as you can see, his numbers there have just progressively gotten better in development. So he is, my opinion, the future goalie, the franchise goalie of the Buffalo Sabres, hands down.
No, I'm going to have to contact the Nords Pats and see if I can get them off them in the
If
pool.
you have it, if someone's got them in our pool, eh?
Yeah.
We got an interesting comment here. Thoughts on trading the Sabres first overall and Okposo with his contract for Kraken's second overall pick?
Why would Seattle do that?
If they'll say yes to that, I don't see them being that stupid. But if they want to be that stupid, I won't stop them.
Again, it is
For
just
one spot.
In a
One
draft,
spot?
in a draft where there really isn't a consensus in the first overall, I don't see Seattle wanting to do that unless they love Owen Power that much and see him being a guy that they can, But again, whoever you take in this draft, if you're a Seattle Kraken fan, you want to see that guy in your lineup next year. And is Owen Power that guy? I don't think so. I think
I don't necessarily
someone
agree.
that's good to go.
Like, think about Vegas when they picked Krebs, right? Like, Krebs is just kind of now breaking into their lineup. I don't think they're in any rush to get, like, if they walk away with Matty Beniers, they're thrilled. Right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, there's really no reason to try to jump up one spot in a draft with no consensus first overall, and then to take Okposo to do that. Like, it's one spot.
They're watching. Shut up.
One spot.
Okposo is amazing. Please don't take him from us. He's our favorite player. I'm buying an Okposo jersey next. Please don't take him from me. Please.
What's left on Okposo's deal?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, he's got a no movement too.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
No, the no movement isn't. He doesn't have a no movement anymore. It's not the last 2 years of his contract.
Oh, okay. It says that it's still up on Cap Friendly.
They should just buy him out. Fuck it.
That's what I've been saying since last year. It was, if they would have bought him out at the start of last season, you would have only added, I think, 2 years to his contract, but each of those years would only be $1 million per.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's buyable. That's no problem.
Exactly. Yeah, but again, it's a mystery, like the Louis Eriksson debate. Why is Louis Eriksson still a Vancouver Canuck?
Yeah, what the hell is that about?
Okay, so they should have, if they were going to buy him out, they should have looked at it last offseason. If they buy him out this offseason, they actually lose money.
Really?
Yes. So they actually lose money, and his deal goes longer. Like, Jim Benning, in classic Jim Benning fashion, actually made his contract almost buyout proof because it's not in signing bonuses. It's an actual salary that he's getting paid in his final year. Jesus. And then, so like what my plan was for him last offseason was send him to Utica. Nobody's going to pick him up off waivers. He's not going to want to ride the bus in Utica for 2 years. But now...
Are you saying public transportation in Western New York is less than perfect? What are you trying to say?
I mean, he is collecting like $6 million a year, so maybe it's
ride
worth
the bus, so he doesn't even need to buy a car.
Yeah,
you haven't said the bad part yet.
He could buy the bus. So
he'll get his own
issue
bus.
There is that like this past season, it was mostly in signing bonuses that he was getting paid, so it would have been fine. But this last year of the deal is buyout proof. The way they've structured it, they would actually lose roughly $150,000 if they bought him out. So there's really no benefit to buying out Louis Eriksson. He'll just play in Abbotsford for the new AHL team.
Fair enough. Yeah, I actually brought up the buyout calculator on Cap Friendly for Okposo. If we did buy him out in the offseason, the cap hit this coming year would be $5 million of the $6 million. And then the year after that's $3 million. Then the last two are the $1 million. So this year we would still.
Well, that's not even really worth it either.
Yeah, this year we would still be paying him for pretty much his full contract, and then we'd still have to keep giving him money for 3 years after the fact. So hopefully we can just send him to Rochester. He can like feel offended and do the Bogosian thing and say, "I'm not going," And then
You know what? You want to know what else?
That's the dream, right?
that bow ties itself.
Another thing that's
that
difficult
would
with
be
this
great.
draft too. Another thing that's difficult with the draft is because of COVID, you didn't get really much junior hockey at all. So it's really hard to really make the correct evaluations on players because you haven't seen them in a year. Like, we were lucky enough to, I was all about Jack Quinn going back to Ottawa to play under Torini. Again, I'm a former guest on Two Goalies with Mike, and he had a lot of great things to say about both him and Marco Rossi. This was before the draft. And I think that was the biggest reason why they took Jack Quinn is because, you have Jack Eichel as your center. And I personally, again, if Jack Quinn was ready to make the jump next season and this whole Eichel drama wasn't going on, you do not hesitate. You put Jack Quinn on Jack Eichel's wing and just let Jack get him the puck and let him do what he does best in the OHL, and that's score goals. Set him up, score goals. That's exactly where you would put Jack Quinn. Now there's just this clusterfuck going on in the 7-1-6. We don't know what's going to happen. But, now we're fortunate enough to put Jack Quinn in Rochester this year and let him play, professional hockey, but obviously develop down there. How are you supposed to make the right evaluations on these players from the WHL, the OHL, over in Europe? Like how do you make the proper evaluations? I don't know.
I mean, you can't watch them, but also because they're not playing, they're not developing to their full potential. They're not getting their full seasons the same way any other draft class would have. So it's not even just about not being able to see them perform. They're just performing less.
I'm trying to gauge talent.
Yeah, it's
like it's hard enough to project a player in their age 17 year where they're draft eligible, but they're a lot of times like OHL didn't play at all. So they're going back to their age 16 year. And how are you supposed to project a 16-year-old on whether
or not he
they're going to be an impact?
He can hack it with dudes that are like 25 and in their prime? Yeah.
Right. And where their trajectory is. If they're worth, look at what Mason McTavish, who was brought up earlier, has done to his draft stock with one tournament, all because there's nobody else playing right now. And I'm a big fan of Mason McTavish, but he was kind of consensus in the 20s going into this season. And now
he's in the top 10.
I've seen him as high as 2. I believe that was Central Scouting had him at 2nd overall, which I don't know. I really like McTavish, but if you have nobody else that you're able to judge, how do you know where even the players that you have scouted fit in, right? That's why, for the Canucks, I don't mind being at 9th because somebody good is going to slide that should never have been 9th overall, right?
Again, we mentioned earlier Marco Rossi sliding down to, I think it was Minnesota. That wasn't expected.
Yeah, I mean, I
had Rossi in my top 5. Right?
I think it was some of those early picks by Ottawa that we just didn't see coming, and it was really okay. And
it was a lot like that draft, not to the same extent or the same extreme, but it was a lot like when the Bills were on the clock to pick Allen, and it was either Rosen or Allen, Josh Rosen or Josh Allen. We're getting a Josh, and Roger Goodell goes up there and says the name Josh. He hesitates, and he said Allen, and the whole city just lost their collective minds because Allen wasn't supposed to be the guy. Obviously, it worked out in her favor. I'm included in one of those Josh Allen apologists. Seems to be a trend. But same thing here with this pick. We all wanted Marco Rossi, and he goes up, and he says, from the Ottawa 67s, we're all holding our breath, and he says Jack Quinn. And it was, I wasn't as emotional with that pick as I was the Josh Allen pick. At the same time, it's dude, we need center depth. We have no center depth. Why are we taking a winger? Why are we taking a winger at that pick? A guy, it was very aggravating.
Again, I think it was that whole, if Eichel stays in the equation, give Eichel a pure fucking sniper. And that's exactly what Jack Quinn has been slotted to be going into the draft. This dude, he scores goals. That's all he does. You want a dude who's just going to fucking snipe 5-on-5 power play? I don't care. He's like Olofsson on crack. But he can actually play a full 200 foot game.
Full 200 foot game. You would hope he plays over. Yeah. Real quick, those pictures I mentioned earlier. You look in the back right there, Tony Khan by the Sabres.
That's incredible.
Look at that guy.
Good mask.
Oh,
Good
yeah,
boy.
Absolutely. But just real quick before we wrap up here, Sean, I want to get more on your Canucks. What are your? I mean, obviously, it was a big surprise this year where you guys finished out. I was very surprised. I become a Vancouver Canucks fan just by my relationship now with you guys with the Point Shot Podcast, formerly Area 51 or the 51, and I just it was very surprising to see the decline of your team this year. You guys let go of you guys went to Thatcher Demko. Instead of bringing back Markstrom, you brought in Braden Holtby. You let Tyler Toffoli go, which, I mean, that has to drive you all so nuts.
Man, Vancouver's ready to ride all over again because of Toffoli.
You see how well he's performing.
Especially since the word came out that, I would have stayed. They just never gave me a deal.
He wanted to come back.
I would have definitely come to the table, but they didn't offer me anything, so I left.
Yeah, it's
one thing
crazy.
if you got lowballed and he's like, yeah, nah, but they just were like, oh shit, that's what we forgot to do. We forgot to give him an offer sheet. Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of crazy. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's kind of what it sounded like when they asked Jim Benning what happened. He's like, oh, we just ran out of time. And then later he's like, oh no, I was, I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. You meant. You ran out of time, and that was your first answer was that you simply didn't have the time. The guy was free agent for 3 days.
You got on the highway. You realized you didn't have your wallet. You're fucked. You lose.
Yeah, the coffee's still on the top of the car. Yeah. The biggest, the weirdest thing, Vancouver this season. So after the playoff, I would even go back. I'll go back to the Toffoli trade when we landed him. I said, okay, this team needs to make the playoffs every single year now. This is an expectation now. You're putting your chips in. You're trading a good prospect in Tyler Madden. You're trading good draft capital. We had no first or second round pick at the draft last year. And if Toffoli would have re-signed, we would have also not had our fourth. So we would have had 3 picks in the draft. So it was this is us going all in. I didn't mind them walking away from Markstrom because I knew he'd get way overpaid. Thank you, Calgary. I didn't mind walking away from Tanev. Same exact reason. Plus, he never is ever healthy. The last 2 years are a complete anomaly that he's been healthy for it. Josh Levo, I didn't mind because he had his knee injury and major knee surgery. Toffoli was priority number 1. They needed to bring back Tyler Toffoli. They had one job to do, and they dropped the ball. And it's frustrating. It's beyond frustrating because we paid a top draft pick and a top prospect of ours for 10 games of Tyler Toffoli in a season that we were not cup contenders, right? Nobody was coming into the playoffs thinking we were going to win the cup that year. That was our championship year. And we were just kind of cracking that open. So Toffoli needed to be part of that. Watching him then go to Montreal and do what he's done there is just extra salt in the wound. But Canucks have a lot of decisions to make this offseason. I'm hearing different rumors that Canucks may be open to moving off of the 9th overall pick. As far as I'm concerned, you need as many entry-level contracts as possible. You need to make that pick. Aside from that, you basically are just kind of stuck waiting for all of Jim Benning's bad contracts to expire. You got Beagle, you got Eriksson, you got
that's a really bad game of chess.
Roussel, you've got Holtby. All of these are bad deals that should never have been signed. And
I didn't agree with the Holtby deal at all. I hated that.
The Holtby deal was not good, from the start. And the whole idea was that you were going to turn to Thatcher Demko. So why would you overpay for Holtby to everybody saw what he did in the Vegas series.
Yeah. It was the exact same thing
Demko's your guy.
Did. They drafted Spencer Knight and then 10 days later paid Bobrovsky $10 million for 7 years.
Oh my God. How about that situation? I lost my mind when they drafted Spencer. when they signed Bobrovsky. What are you doing? You think Spencer Knight taking to the first round is going to wait that long to finally get a crack at it? Because that's an untradeable contract. That contract is more untradeable than Jeff Skinner, 100%.
Because he's a goalie.
Yeah, because
if he sucks, there's no way to.
He's got like
Skinner sucks.
6
You just
more
throw
years
him on the fourth line.
Yeah. I mean, you could just get a couple of years, a completely turnaround of Jeff Skinner, where he'll score a couple 35-goal seasons, and maybe if you package picks with him, you could trade that contract. You are not getting out of that Sergei Bobrovsky. And guess what? He lost the starting job. Like that's just like it blows my mind. And I said it like, watch him lose the job because he is vastly very inconsistent, and he loses the job. And now you have Driedger, who's going to be a UFA, and Spencer Knight. It blows my mind. Just the great moves they made in free agency with Duclair, Verhaeghe, and Hornquist. Hornquist. Yeah, like those great moves they made, those very high value, low cost moves they made. And then you signed Sergei Bobrovsky to $10 million a year? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
I love the Sam Bennett deal too. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
I love that deal for them.
I love that fucking mustache. That was a fucking Motorhead stash. I loved it.
Circling back to the Holtby deal, though.
Circling back to this.
Oh, that is evergreen.
Can we can just slide that over to the right side of the screen so we can just hide the Leafs fans for a minute.
I didn't mind the Holtby. What I saw coming was that you still have a veteran goalie that's going to be there to kind of mentor Demko with Markstrom leaving. He's only going to be on the team until the end of the 2021-2022 season. Then he's gone. And then it's all Demko. So he's going to be there next year. I think Demko is still the guy, and Holtby's the backup, but he's the mentor. So I didn't mind that deal, but man, yeah, there's a lot of deals that Jim Benning and his five head have made that aren't great.
And I don't mind Holtby. Like, I don't mind the thought process of going the Holtby route, especially with the expansion draft. I honestly thought he was expansion fodder, right? Like, as soon as he came in, I was like, perfect. They picked a guy that they're going to take. And I mean, that could still happen, but the problem is the money, right? Like the money that they gave to Holtby. So it's actually a backloaded deal. So he's making $5.7 million next year.
Right.
So he's again another buyout proof kind of contract, right? So that if Seattle doesn't take him, you can't move off and switch gears and maybe look at a Driedger, right? I don't know, man. Like,
I don't know. I don't think that really hurts Vancouver too much. I honestly don't think one more year of Holtby. I don't see that being a big issue.
Well, they're not going to be ready to go anytime soon anyway.
No. The biggest thing is that the Pettersson and Hughes contracts are this offseason, right? Yeah. And we barely have enough money to potentially just keep the team that we have, which is already bad, right? Like, this isn't a good team.
It's a good thing.
So we can barely afford the players that we already have. So we're not improving, right?
Yeah. Like I was just saying, like, it's a good thing Pettersson didn't have a great year in his contract year. You know, that will help a little bit. A little bit, but not a ton, but it'll help a little bit. I have a quick question here for you guys, for the Sabres and the Canucks organizations, and to you, Pats, and I'll be asking you this tomorrow on our pod. Who does Seattle take from Buffalo, Toronto, and Vancouver? Who do you think you guys are losing?
Possibly Cody Eakin, maybe a Colin Miller.
Right.
Colin Miller makes the most sense.
Yeah, I would take Colin Miller for sure.
Me too.
He'd be your good third guy. I mean, if he can finally stop trying to make the check at the worst possible opportunity and then letting some player rush down the ice after his check didn't land and somebody else just picked up the puck effortlessly, then that's like the crux of his game. He always tries to make the body play at the worst possible fucking time. Like, while two people are on him, like, he's got the guy with the puck, and all he needs to do is just tap it slightly to the side for the other guy, like, supporting him on his side to just. Yeah, and then Miller's like caught up having bodied this one dude while the puck is like already at their blue line and he's just MIA. And that's led to so many goals and it's so frustrating. But if Seattle's watching, he's really good. He's a really good veteran presence and he'd be an asset to any locker room on the West Coast far, far, far away from me.
I just got a text message from Steve Dangle. He goes, "Who is even the consensus first overall pick?" Question mark.
My dad, the guy holding the sign at the game.
I love fucking Dangle's fucking I saw his little clip when Dermott gave the puck away in overtime. And fucking Dangle's watching the game and he's like, "Oh no, oh Dermott." Oh.
if there's I mean, out of the entire fan base, if there's a guy you feel for, man, like, granted, we're all fans, but here's the thing: there's the difference between us and a guy like Steve Dangle. Is he's gotten where he is by being a fan, and he did a really good job at marketing himself and whatnot. Now he gets paid to do it, and that's his gig. This is where I respect those guys the most, and is we can just choose to ignore it, right? Like, if after we lose, we can just like go home and just not like look at Twitter or decide to not turn the radio on or just ignore it, right? Just because you know what it's going to do to you. These guys got to go on, and like they have to. And it's just like here in Buffalo or in Vancouver or in Toronto, it's just like when it's literally, and like for us, honestly. For the Sabres, I feel like this is like worse than the Bills drought of 17 years, only because like the Bills at least teased you here and there. They teased you with like 9-7 seasons, 8-8. They were in the hunt near the end of the season. There were games that mattered. Sabres, fuck no. Like nope.
Again, that's all I want. That's all like somewhere close. You don't even need to get it. But like we've been like 25 or under for the past decade.
The guy right below me here, where is he? Right there?
Yeah.
Said the Sabres would be good this year.
No, last year I thought they were going to be good.
I didn't realize you had some. I didn't realize you had some tea to spill. Please go on. Continue.
I root for the Sabres. I feel bad for you guys, but
Producer Steve,
I'm hearing you say this is all you want, and like that fucking depresses the shit out of me. It's like,
I want to win next year. Short term, that's all I want.
You just want to like challenge for a fucking playoff spot and lose. That's what you.
That's what I want short term. I don't want 25 or under again.
Listen, if anyone remembers the night that David Ayers went in and became a fucking legend.
Oh yeah.
And I was live streaming the night and I was losing my mind. I ran around my house. I ran around my driveway outside. This stupid soccer song you guys sing. I can't stand it. But I was.
We don't fucking sing it. That's
the fucking Habs.
Whatever, dude. No, you guys come. First off, you guys do come into our bar and you do sing that stupid song. I witnessed it. 100%. 100%.
Leaf fans do that?
I've seen it. I have seen it.
Leaf fans.
They do it to mock the Habs in your building.
Maybe, sure, but you still do it. So,
look, nothing's going to be more annoying than the Flyers fans doing the Ric Flair woo all the time. I hate it.
I was just twisting the knife, and I honestly took some heat for not doing that, a few days ago when you guys lost. I'm like, but like I just can sympathize with it. I can. It's because
too soon.
No, it's not even that. Our franchises don't just lose. We've made it an art form. We've made losing an art form because we just don't.
You're way down here at the bottom, just shitting the bed. And we get all the way to the top, and then we shit the bed.
Yeah, it's a punchline.
Which is almost as embarrassing.
It's fucking brutal.
The Maple Leafs have the courtesy to shit on the sheets. The Sabres are the turds that have soaked into the mattress over years and years and years.
Yeah,
to the point you just have to throw it to the fucking curb and write Pakula is free. Please take.
Yeah, the Sabres,
free mattress.
They make a headline. We're a headline. We're a punchline. We just don't lose. There's always controversy or just some epic collapse. That's why it's worse, because it's just like you can never just get the games that matter. And
we're a punchline. The Leafs are a punchline in Canada as well. Like
Oh, yeah.
The text messages, the memes, the gifts from friends, family, and
you guys are
people
the
alike.
Yankees. You guys are the Yankees of hockey.
Yeah.
100%.
Or the Cowboys.
Yankees of hockey. Or the
I
Cowboys.
I
As Stephen A. Smith calls you guys are the Cowboys of hockey. I guess, yeah.
That was
I love
at
that
least-
he's talking hockey, man.
Yeah,
That's the
and,
best.
and it's
I'm
like
gonna talk
the
that
best.
hockey.
The best is he's talking hockey with this like confidence that like, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You guys are the fucking Dallas Cowboys. He's texting people that
He's like looking off camera, like that was funny, right?
It's like,
yeah.
Cool. Got him. That's a get. But now I'm really looking forward to Stephen A. Smith fucking tearing into every single franchise when they like the Stephen A. Smith Dangles might put Dangle out of business because he's just gonna fucking because like Dangle's just like he'll like try to get into the head's mindset of the player. It's like I can see why you might have thought this was a good idea, but you just fucked it up. That's a dang. And Stephen A. Smith is just gonna be like, are you out of your goddamn mind? What is wrong with you?
I think the Stephen A. Smith shtick will be funny for a while, but it will wear on people. Be like,
eventually he'll learn the game, so his shtick will become refined. I think.
I think it'll get
it hasn't gotten old for basketball yet, so I don't see it getting old for hockey as long as he learns the game.
Well, the thing he's got going for him, he's very loud and he's very polarizing for sure. So
we don't know anything about loud, polarizing hosts. Here at Two Goalies, One Mic, we don't know anything.
We don't. No, we don't. Let's not talk about that. Hey, I know we've been going here for a little over an hour.
Is Duane loud? Am I loud?
A little loud. I'm a little.
No, you're
loud.
not bad. Duane's loud. I've heard Duane fucking yelling his face off.
Yeah. Before we sign off here, just expansion draft. Get your guys' opinions on that. What should we expect? What contracts do you think will get unloaded on? Will it be exactly like what happened with Vegas, or what will the differences be? I'll start.
Or what? What's he doing?
No, I'm plugging in the MacBook. Plugging in the MacBook.
The pants were coming off.
I had to plug in the MacBook just to make sure that we don't go.
Everyone's showing off some leg. I feel like I should.
But
feel like I should
what do you guys expect out of the expansion draft? Sean, I'll start with you.
Honestly, I do think we'll see a lot of what we saw with the Vegas Golden Knights, not to the same degree. Like, I don't think teams are going to be swindled so badly, but look, Seattle's going to be a good team. Like, there's a lot of good options available. There's a lot of teams that are in really, really tough cap situations that are going to have to try to make moves to offload contracts to them. And they're going to ask for sweeteners, and they should, honestly. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean that third D pairing of Colin Miller and Tyler Myers is going to light up the Seattle Leaks.
Oh
light
my
up
God.
Seattle.
I will personally drive Tyler Myers to Seattle if they
airport.
take him. I'll drive him right to the arena.
You'll put him in your bicycle basket and ride him over the border.
I'll meet you halfway with Rasmus Ristolainen.
Yeah, there you go. As far as I'm concerned, I don't.
Ristolainen on the Leafs.
Oh, done. Take him. What are you giving?
You want Ristolainen?
I would love Ristolainen.
Is Marner on the table?
Marner is most definitely on the table after these playoffs.
See?
No, he's
Myers.
have a big argument over that.
One bad year, that's all it takes.
I don't understand.
It's not one bad year. It's how many straight playoff games without a goal? Like 16? Like, come on.
Well, now playoff performance is irrelevant, so short term, that's fine.
I'll remind you of one.
For you guys, it doesn't matter.
This is my thoughts on Marner real quick. I would not trade Mitch Marner, and the reasoning is if you look at Edmonton and what they did with Jordan Eberle wasn't scoring in the playoffs, and they looked and they're like, he didn't score for X number of games. This guy's a bum. He doesn't show up. Trade him. And so they got rid of him. They got rid of Taylor Hall after their one playoff run. And they have had zero playoff success since. They made it to the playoffs this year, got swept. They're a thin team. The problem is that you have to replace those guys. And Mitch Marner will turn around. Like, he'll figure it out.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think he's the least of your guys' issues. Like, Did he show up? No. But, you know what? Like, look at what Tampa did. They got destroyed by Columbus.
Exactly.
And they kept it together. They didn't make any groundbreaking blow-ups. They could have, and then they were champions the next year. There's a lot of promise in Toronto still.
Yeah,
you just gotta hold tight.
I have that written down for our script for tomorrow. That exact reference. So
You have a script?
I always write a script. You lazy prick. But speaking of the Kraken, going back to what Duane said, I know
he's too busy crushing beers and showing leg over there to care.
I haven't got a fucking beer for a while. I didn't want to.
I'm waiting for those. I'm waiting for those feet pick, Pat.
Feet picks.
I'm the opposite on Seattle. I don't think
Can we get that full screen real quick? What? You can keep making your point, but we need some more of that.
All right, settle down over there.
I was just saying I'm kind of feeling the opposite way that Sean's feeling with Seattle. I don't think that they're going to be a great team off the hop. I think that the GMs across the NHL have learned their lesson from George McPhee, and I don't think that they want to do it again. I think that maybe there's one or two. You always like Arizona to make a dumb deal, but geez, I really don't see them being a strong team. Like I don't see them making the playoffs like Vegas did, and in fact, they're not going to the Stanley Cup final. That's just my opinion.
I mean,
I agree. They're not going to the final, but they'll make a good stride. Like the issue with Seattle is that there's not a lot for top 6 options available right now.
No.
So like unless they go all out in free agency, which they are going to have the money to do so. Like my projection with my picks and everything for Seattle has them about $25 to $30 million in cap space. So, I mean, that gives lots of potential to take bad contracts with sweeteners, to shop in free agency. They have lots of flexibility. And, you know, if they're able to convince like or pluck like a TJ Oshie or somebody like that, like I don't see them as good as Vegas, but I see them certainly as like a playoff potential, like a bubble team.
Right. So like where producer Steve wants Buffalo to be, that's where Seattle will be this year.
Like instantly. Yeah.
Right.
Through no fault of their own.
Fighting for a playoff.
Now that's a participation trophy.
I'm still flabbergasted that Florida allowed Marchessault to go over to Vegas. Like he was a 30-goal scorer, I think, that year, and just gave him Marchessault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. Well, and look at what Anaheim did too, right? Like giving away Shea Theodore in order to protect
that was
like
awful.
Manson, right? So there's going to be teams that do really dumb stuff. Like I just don't think it's going to be the same teams. Like you said, Arizona, they're not a smart franchise. I could see them doing something tremendously stupid.
Yeah.
I could honestly see. I don't think anything's going to happen with Vancouver, but they're gonna get some. They're going to get some good players. Like there's a lot of teams that are really deep. They're going to get a good one from Carolina, a good one from Tampa. Like
Tampa's interesting because I think Tampa, you know, you have a team that they're getting called cheaters right now for, you know, finding ways around the cap. You know, they're $10 million over. But you know, Cirelli. Well, yeah, exactly. What team wouldn't do that if given the opportunity? But you know, Cirelli obviously didn't perform the way they probably hoped. You know, you had Braden Point. I think it was Braden Point signed that very team-friendly deal, correct? He signed like a very team-friendly deal.
Yeah.
But you have, again, they're going to have to find ways to unload like salary. And why can I not think of his name?
Tyler Johnston?
No, you know, Tyler Johnson being one of them. Sure, he's a UFA. I've been very high on him.
Blake Coleman.
Yes, Blake Coleman. I am a huge Blake Coleman fan. If they're going to want to re-sign him, like he's going to get a raise, you have to find ways to unload his contract. If not, you let him walk. If I'm Kevin Adams, that is one of the first agents I'm calling is Blake Coleman, because that guy is absolutely what a team like Buffalo needs. A guy who's going to block shots, who's going to play hard along the boards. He has the ability to score goals. And you know what? If everything goes the way it seems going to go with Tampa, he might have 2 Stanley Cup rings, and doesn't hurt having a couple Stanley Cup rings in your room with a team full of, you know, 21, 22, 23-year-old hockey players.
That's who I have circled for the Canucks too, is Blake Coleman. But like, if I'm Seattle and I'm looking at Tampa Bay, and you know that they need you to take Tyler Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would phone them and say, I'm not taking Tyler Johnson. I'm taking Eric Cernak.
Yep, Cernak, another one.
And then seeing how desperate they get to pawn Tyler Johnson off on me. Because I probably am walking away with Cernak, Johnson, or Johnson and something else, right? Like,
yep.
Like that's what I'm doing if I'm Seattle, is I'm saying, look, that guy that you want to keep, I'm taking him. What are you going to give me to not take him?
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's what sucks about being a team like Vancouver, who's has cap issues, or even worse, Tampa Bay. You have these players that you don't want to expose, but you're kind of in a situation where you're forced to. You're biting your nails, like, please, don't touch them, and you're willing to give up assets in order to protect those players, much like what kept happening in the Vegas expansion draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, same thing's going to happen with Carolina, right? Like, they can immediately look and say, look, we're going to take Jake Bean. And if they let you take Jake Bean, then cool. But if not, I mean, maybe they give you somebody else, right? Like, and I see that for a lot of teams that are going to be in that position. For the Canucks, like, I have no worries at all. Like, this is actually a great opportunity for the Canucks, where we have hardly any players that are actually worth protecting. So you can go and trade for players that other teams can't protect, and then protect them yourself, right?
You have players on entry-level deals. They're automatically protected.
Like, there's nobody on our blue line that I would care to protect. Like, I don't care.
Outside of Hughes.
But Hughes doesn't need to be protected.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, yeah, but I'm just in retrospect.
Right?
Obviously,
but,
Hughes
like, there's not a single blue liner that I'd be like, oh, no, please don't take Tyler Myers, Olio Levy.
To quickly circle onto the Carolina bit, they do currently have 4 goalies. All 4 of those goalies are either UFAs or RFAs, the one RFA being Ned, who's doing most of the starting right now. For Toronto and us in Buffalo, I mean, I feel like Toronto's already done the Reimer game, so no thank you.
Classic?
But no, James Reimer is also a part of their team who started in Toronto.
I mean for Toronto.
Mrazek.
He's a good goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he definitely split time with Campbell.
I mean, far and away the best possible free agent next year is definitely Chris Driedger, without a doubt. But if you can't get him and he goes somewhere where,
3-2.
I want Mrazek to bring back the number 2, though. I loved when he wore the number 2 for at the juniors. I always loved that.
That would be pretty great.
Yeah.
All right, but I'll end it here with you guys from the Hockey Dummies, Steve and Pat. How do you feel about the expansion draft? Where do you, if you're Toronto, if you're Dubas, who are you exposing? Who are you trying to encourage Seattle to take?
I think Kerfoot's as good as gone.
Yeah,
I don't think that there's anyone else to really take. We're gonna hold on to Riley. We're gonna hold on to Muzzin, and we're gonna hold on to. Do we have to hold on to Sandin, Pat, or who's the other defenseman that we're holding on to?
No, we don't. There's lots of guys.
I feel like Sandin might not have played enough that he needs.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I don't think so.
But obviously, we're gonna hang on to the big 4. You don't have to Hyman. You don't have to protect because he's a UFA.
Yeah, same with Anderson. But he's not coming back anyway. But still, you don't have to waste a spot there.
No.
You protect Campbell, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. Campbell will be the goal that we protect, but I think Kerfoot's gone.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's fine for us because regular season wise, he was shit. Like, we talked about it all the time on the podcast. I was like, what is Kerfoot doing? But then the guy has a great playoff, right?
He did have a good playoff, and
and you know what? And that could be the selling point right there. Like, oh, look what he does. When it matters. You know what? Take him. It's $3.5 million. That's off our cap. Right? Yeah, I'd totally leave.
Helps you buy a goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other big thing for us, right? Because when I look at the
you're just gonna sit here on me now with my legs out.
Pat, zoom in on that leg, shall we? But when I'm looking at the Leafs cap, friendly page here. It's like, we got Matthews, Tavares, Marner, Nylander. They're locked in. We better sign Zach Hyman back. He's a staple. And then you got the only other forwards that we really have locked in for next year: Kerfoot, Mikheyev, Engvall, and Brooks. I think hey, like Seattle could go. I'm fine
with losing Engvall too. Like
I'd be fine with losing Engvall too. I actually
I like
Brooks.
Engvall a lot.
I mean, I don't know how serious I could take either of you because you want Rasmus Ristolainen on your hockey team. So.
Hey, I didn't say that. That was this fucking guy because
he's really good.
He's so good.
I need
not as
to
good
watch
as Tyler Myers,
right?
though. They need to draft Tyler Myers.
The only thing better than Rasmus Ristolainen's gameplay is his haircut and facial hair.
Right.
So that's true.
Now that is the eye test.
He looks like a Viking born out of incest.
He looks like Frylock.
All right, here's a question because I know how much Pat loves Justin Holl. Who do you guys rather have, Ristolainen or Holl on your team?
Holl.
We'll trade you straight up.
Holl.
I'll trade you one for one.
Up.
Holl for Risto.
Dubas, get on the phone.
Oh my God, I would do Holl for Myers and
Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, are you watching?
These guys, you do really live up to your name, the Dummies. I mean, you really live up to that.
Thank you.
You don't disappoint. You definitely don't disappoint. So
Holl is older, but he's cheaper.
Literally,
it's a smart economic move.
Literally, if you do an ancestry.com of both these guys, they definitely fall under the Ralph Kruger, Jason Botterill family tree. So they
just didn't adopt to the system. The system's good. The team's terrible.
Oh, guys, but honestly, guys, I've had a ton of fun with you guys tonight. Thanks for joining us. I just want, before we let you guys go, remind everybody that this was brought to you by Manscaped.com. 20% off your purchase plus free shipping when you use code word Trainwreck, all capital letters TRAINWRECK. Get yourself the Lawnmower 3.0. Has the built-in flashlight. You never knew you needed a flashlight on your razor until you had one. Helps keep the beard, all trimmed and hedged up the correct way. Or it's waterproof, so you're on a hot date, you gotta hop in the shower, bring it in the shower with you. Absolutely unbelievable products over at Manscaped.com. So Manscaped.com, code word Trainer, 20% off plus free shipping. Sean, Steve, Pat's unbelievable. Thanks for coming on with us. Any last thoughts?
That's it, baby. I'd say go Leafs go, but that ain't happening. So let's go Jets.
Yeah.
And the Jets are down 4-2 right now. This is embarrassing.
Fuck.
Avs in 16.
I told Habs. I just said Habs in 4.
They sweep everyone.
Yeah.
Undefeated playoff March.
That would be fucking legendary. I would.
Man, unbelievable.
I would move to Colorado tomorrow.
I don't think they would.
See ya.
I don't think they would sweep. I don't think they would sweep Tampa. I think that would be.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I mean, I'm interested. I one last thought. I'm interested to see how far Montreal can go with Carey Price, because I've been a big advocate of never paying your goalie a lot of money. I think I tap out right around $6 million a year just because I think there's just too much proof, and you don't have to pay your goalie that much money to win. You got Crawford in Chicago. You got Crawford in Chicago. You remember Antoniemi won a cup with them. Obviously, you saw what happened last year in Dallas with why can't I remember his name?
Khudobin.
Yes, Khudobin. Obviously, between Murray in Pittsburgh, who obviously failed to live up to the shadow of Marc-Andre Fleury, and even Fleury's never won a Vezina. And you never had to pay him an insane amount of money. So I've always been against paying your goalies a lot of money, and that's why I've always been not against Carey Price, but just imagine how much better that team could be if they were committed to a goaltender for $10 million a year. And I'm definitely interested to see where the Habs go, with Carey Price and how well he's playing. Because the biggest mistake Toronto made in that series was allowing Carey Price to get locked in. You have to get in his face. You have to disrupt him. You cannot allow Carey Price to get locked in the playoffs, because once you do, it's over. It is absolutely over. You are not that. And I said this on our local radio station. I said, outside of obviously Marner not performing, you're not getting enough from Matthews, even though he got the chances. I personally think injuries and running into a playoff form Carey Price is what really did you in. Carey Price was playing phenomenal, not unbeatable, but when you don't have everything going for you to begin with, and then you run into Carey Price, even when you're playing desperate, it's just you're not going to win.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. He was dialed in, man. There were times where it was just they got one, and it was we're done. And we ended up tying it up a couple times, taking it to overtime, and I always felt unsettled. I always felt like going into the games, the Leafs should have won 4-1 or 3-0, and they just never had it. And it was just each minute, each sections of 5 minutes going by each game, each period going by, and it was we're tied, we're down by one, or we're chasing it. It was felt like we were always chasing it, and we just couldn't get it past Price, man.
We were fucking gassed after Game 4. After Game 4, we were gassed, and that was it.
Right.
Here, one last thing real quick. Obviously, I've said, one last thing a couple times. Going over to the Dean Blundell.
You live here now.
Those guys from the beer league, the beer league boys.
Yeah.
Cole, I forget his name. I know. Guys, right? Yeah, the bearded one.
The guy with the face.
Yes, the guy with the face and the facial hair. He keeps tweeting at me about a take he had last time I went live with Dean, and it was that I would rather build my team around Nathan McKinnon than Connor McDavid, and I think that is still to this day one of the worst hockey takes I've ever heard. I don't care. I don't care what Colorado is a more developed team. It's taken them a while to get where they are, and I know I'm going to hear about it tonight if he's on. So I just want to get your guys' takes now. Is that one of the dumbest takes you've ever heard?
I don't think it's the dumbest take I've ever heard, but it's I would take McDavid over McKinnon.
I'm taking McDavid over anybody on the planet.
Yeah.
Okay. My question is, do we take cap hit into consideration on this too?
No, he doesn't take cap hit into
consideration. We got to work in a hypothetical world where they both make the exact same amount of money.
He just takes the player. He thinks the player is better, and I'm like, you're out of your mind. McKinnon is a world-class hockey player. McDavid is he reminds me so much of Bure in his prime. When Bure, he does things with the puck at full speed during games that professional hockey players in the NHL can't do during practice at half speed. And it's insane to watch. It's insane to watch. I truly think, I never thought that we'd ever see a player that would chase Gretzky records. But, I'm not saying it's possible. The points record is the most unbreakable record in all of sports. But he'll maybe get a sniff at maybe some single season records. I don't know. I just
over 100 points in 56 games is nuts.
Yeah, I don't care what division you play in, dude.
That's just ignorant. How dare
it's just insanity.
It was rude.
What are they feeding that kid in Edmonton?
Maybe he was
insane. What are they even feeding him since
not playoff games?
He's got 4.
Come on, man. You know that you said now Vancouver's going to finish 33rd somehow.
Fuck off,
and still not get the first.
And we're going to finish 34th. Figure it out. I don't know how it works. It just happens. This is the NHL. Anything is possible.
It is. I just love watching Connor McDavid, man. And as much as it sucks to say that, because obviously that was the same year we got Eichel. Nothing against Eichel, but McDavid is just all worldly. He's all godly. He's a fucking Jedi, for God's sakes. It's insane to watch. So
fucking Jedi.
No, McDavid's the obvious answer if you don't take cap pace. If you don't take cap into consideration, it's McDavid. If you take cap into consideration,
even if you
McDavid for half the price of McDavid, it's no.
Well, we're talking about building a team around a single player, so let's put it into fantasy perspective. You have the first pick. Who the hell do you pick?
McDavid.
Connor McDavid. Again, it goes back to the Stephen A. Smith thing. The only thing you need to know about hockey is that the puck is black and that Connor McDavid is one of the best fucking players of this generation. That's all you need to know. Pick the guy. True. He's right there. Or you could pick Jack Quinn.
Second
And it all
overall.
comes full circle.
Yeah.
Funny enough, McDavid was the second best skater in our fantasy league this year, only behind his partner Leon Draisaitl, number 1.
I
Leon.
thought it was number 1 in ours.
Draisaitl was number 1.
Really?
I can see that.
Yeah, right behind him was McDavid, and the top goalie was Varlamov.
Varlamov. Yeah.
Yeah, those guys had
Varlamov
good
I
years.
love that Barry Trotz system, man. Gotta love
Yes.
that.
He's the winningest coach in all of hockey. Give me
Yeah,
that
he is the
Gabagool. Dewey Crocs, if you're listening, I want to have a big heaping helping of chicken parmeri for the rest of their playoff run.
Dude, it's so boring to watch, though, man. It's
It
Devils
is boring.
2.0.
But
Look,
okay.
anyone beating Boston is not boring. I don't care who you are.
That's
Yes.
true. That's true.
Anyone beating Boston
Fuck
makes
Taylor
me
Hall.
happy.
Fuck
Yeah,
Fuck
nobody
Taylor
likes
Hall.
Boston.
Fuck the
Taylor
rat
Hall.
face Brad Marchand to
That
the
is
moon.
something we can
Go
all
away.
agree on here.
Yeah.
But
That is the
okay. One quick thing. So Barry Trotz, when he was a free agent and won the Cup in 2018 with Washington, and they weren't going to bring him back, Canucks decided to go with Willie Desjardins as their coach instead. I will never forget that, man. I'll never forget that. Like we
Betting and a
were
betting.
Well, the only worst
Bank
move from that
commander
was
general. Yeah.
well, I'm still blown away that Washington didn't pony up. You know, like that. What a bad move
Washington
that
was
was.
so dumb not to. But they had their coach in the wings, right? Like Todd Reardon was the guy they were trying to groom, and they were giving Trotz his last hurrah, and then he wins the Cup. And that should have been enough to be like, okay, maybe our
They should
plans
have
are stupid.
Yeah.
We better
Hurrah?
keep him. But they decided to let him go. Yeah.
Oh,
Lou
well,
Lamb with the clutch. Yeah.
you know,
Clutch
sometimes I
style.
think the Jack Quinn pick was taken because they just assumed Marco Rossi would be gone, and they had already made the jersey for Quinn. So it's like
They thought he was already gone.
we already spent the money on the jersey. We can't
Yeah,
just.
that's a good point. That
Sounds
is
like a
good
very
point.
Buffalo reason.
That is a good
Sometimes
cheap
you got to
Buffalo
dance with the girl
knockoffs.
that took you, right? You know, like you can't.
Sometimes.
The knockoff jerseys
Oh
down the
my
street
God.
that were made by the Pagulas.
Yeah.
Already
Oh.
with Quinn on it.
The funny part about that story is that the knockoffs
Quinn
they
with a
made
K.
the knockoffs they made on
KWIN.
90s, those knockoffs.
K, comma,
If I
Quinn.
now I have to bring up that picture. Those knockoffs they made off on 90s night, those were actually
Oh, so
made by
bad.
a Pagula owned company called Ad Pro Sports here. So they got those jerseys from their own company out of desperation, and they still turned out like garbage. Hold on, I got to bring up that picture real quick if I can. Just give
Yeah,
me a
we can keep the screen on Sean here. He's,
Yeah, let's
he's
get
a
a
hand-
closer-
he's a handsome
Oh,
guy.
yes, we're on
I'm getting used to it. I'm over your legs. We don't care about that anymore.
Yeah, I need to pull mine out, I guess. Yeah.
Get that chest out.
Oh
Flex
my
it.
god!
Show us what's up.
If I can find, if
Got
I
the
can
imaginary
find
lat syndrome
Ooh,
going.
you got that Casey Middlestat draft body. Ooh, you strong, boy. Get him.
looking like a
There was
15-year-old Pedersen.
there was a picture with Jitnik that was absolutely legendary at how bad these jerseys were, man. I gotta see if I can find it.
Hashik. HASHEKK.
Oh my god!
Jesus.
ICK at the end.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
hashtag.
my god. Oh my
Oh
god.
my god! It was super bad. It was super bad. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, Briere. BREAIR. Briere. What's the problem?
Hold on. They were
cheese
super.
air, like
Look,
you
I'm
were
just just gonna keep shit posting in real life until you bring up this picture. So you better stop. You better bring up that picture, or I'm just not gonna
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, do shit, Nick. Next, yeah.
There's some super bad ones, man.
I don't even know how to spell that in real
Oh,
life.
there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Hold on, I got it.
I can't spell. I went to
They were
public school.
so
Neither can the
bad.
Pagulas. It's okay.
They were so bad.
PEGOOLUA. The ghoul.
That's what they signed on their own contracts. Yeah.
So technically, they're null and void because they're not really signed. So they can
There
just
you go. You could say goodbye to. That's how you get rid of Jeff Skinner, right there.
That's how you
Void
do
the
it.
contract based off a typo.
You see, this is where the contract went wrong. Hold on, I'm gonna bring it up right now. Give me one moment. This is very professional of me, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize.
See, this is why you need to have your This is why we need another producer to get you your graphics.
Yes,
Cue
we
them
do.
up.
We do have them queued up. You know, we're not to that point yet.
Ty just had to be at a baseball game with no Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi.
We love you, Ty, if you're watching.
Yeah. Hold on. This picture is.
How about the Mets?
This picture is worth the wait, guys. Just give me 1 second here, and I'll post it. Oh, there it is. Hold on 1 second. These are the jerseys. Unbelievable. Look at that.
Oh.
The bubble is not even straight, dude.
No,
Wow.
no, that's look at that.
Why is it angled up?
I know. That's what they tried. The collars are so wrong. It's so bad.
I actually have a goat. I have a crappy goat head blank in my closet here.
Look at the A. Look at the A on Brad May's shoulder. How like dude, it's like
It's going around his back.
It's so bad.
It's like a shoulder patch.
Oh my god.
That is the worst jersey I've ever seen in my life.
I did not notice until now that Brad May it's like literally on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fucking joke.
All right, so we've got a real one. It's one of the Korean-made starter versions. It's a blank, but as you can see, the collar is much different. If we can bring this up,
God.
we got the gray with the black and red stripe here. We still got the graphic.
Okay.
So just to be clear to anyone watching, the jerseys you just saw were bad and wrong. This is what it's supposed to look like. The goat head is centered.
Well, you know what? To be fair, that still kind of looks like shit.
The collar.
No, don't you dare to speak about our jersey. You guys can't leaf on your jersey, man.
That's weird. Why does it have a B instead of the A for assistant captain?
Eventually, it's gonna have Satan on the back. Can't wait.
Oh man!
But
oh my God.
Take note.
All right.
That's good stuff back there too. That is authentic.
Yeah,
That's the real deal.
That's one of my favorite jerseys of all time. Man.
I still cannot believe.
I can't wait to take a train to Buffalo and wear that game at a home game and get kicked out of KeyBank Center. Because they'll be like, "How dare you?" It's like, Shop One Buffalo made it. I have the receipt. You can't kick me out. They told me I could do this.
They gave me permission.
The Jets are making it interesting.
Kim said it's cool. She made it.
4-3.
4-3 Montreal with 1:42 to go.
Wow.
Remember 10 minutes ago when I said, "Hey, we're gonna wrap this up," and then just never happened.
We got to do a show in like 4 minutes.
All right. With that being said,
I guess
again,
we'll
everybody,
actually leave.
thanks for coming on with us. I want to do this again for sure, Sean, if you don't mind. This was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
Absolutely, Steven, Pats. Again, we should do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely.
I had a blast. So that being said,
La Colombe Draft Latte.
Yeah, go Sabres again. Won the first overall pick in the draft lottery today, even though you had to lose to win. Makes sense. And excited for what's to come. Hopefully here, I know we're supposed to get some news on Jack Eichel soon and the injury update with his rehab. We'll see what might lead to. And
Evans just died.
Who just died?
Oh, shit.
Jake Evans.
Oh, I was delayed and I just saw the hit. Holy fuck.
Sorry to cut you off there, but oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know why it's just my face. We don't need to look at this. This is This is a face only. This is a face that only a mother could love, and she's kind of indifferent about it, to be honest.
I was even further delayed, and I just saw it now. Wow, get off of them! Like they're all kind of crowded around them. Like move away from them.
I'm waiting to see the replay right now myself. Oh, Shea Weber looks livid.
It had to be
yeah, that'll happen.
Shifley just buried.
That was completely uncalled for. That was wild.
What, the Evans? Hit on Evans?
Right as he scored the empty netter, he just buried him.
He scored the empty netter and then was just murdered right after. Like Shifley's getting a game at minimum for that.
Oh,
like that's
That's just
That's
stupidity, man,
wild.
because Scheifele is so important to them, and why would you do that?
Wow.
Was it
Oh,
Scheifele that
Winnipeg
hit him?
screwed
Oh,
without.
That's
I
right.
haven't
Totally
seen
wiped
the
him out.
hit. I still haven't seen the hit.
I know we would get in trouble for bringing up the actual video of it, but
Yeah,
damn.
we would. So I won't.
Anybody there, just if you're not
That
watching,
was
turn it on right
terrifying.
goddamn now.
Yeah, that's stretcher worthy.
They bring it
Like
up.
that was the
Fuck.
scariest hit since Tavares. Easy. Like that was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I think you know why he's
No
not, at least he's not
no
unconscious,
hesitation.
but
Immediately
he's-
to the stretcher. That's
Game
fucked.
misconduct handed out. So he's getting minimum 1 game suspension right
Yeah.
there.
god
Yeah.
damn, dude.
Oh, okay, here's another replay here. I just saw it when it first happened. I haven't
Oh,
seen a
wow.
replay since.
yeah, 5 minutes.
I'm a little delayed. Just
Wow.
hang tight here.
And we're all hoping he's okay.
Holy shit!
How he lands is horrifying.
Shay,
Oh
like,
my god.
he's got a target.
Oh,
Honest to God,
Guys,
he
but I
doesn't
like
have to-
honestly like
fuck.
yeah that is a
That's like
fucking-
Hall of Meat level bad. Holy shit. Ow.
I hope he's okay, man. That's
I'll tell you this right now, man. If this series gets out of hand and Winnipeg is losing badly, and Scheifele he will have to answer for that 100%. If not,
Oh, he's gonna have to answer for that as soon as he comes
Yeah, but
back.
who-
Like
who
if
won
he
the
comes
hat?
back
Yeah,
this
who's
series,
answer?
Oh, 100%. He's gonna have to answer for that.
Who's gonna fight
That-
him?
That'll
Weber.
anybody.
Why would-
Literally, well, Weber looks like he wants a piece. So,
Weber would
yeah.
pound the piss out of him.
oh my
or,
God.
or Perry if he's still there.
Perry would do it.
I mean, if it doesn't happen at the
Wow.
end of this series, it's absolutely going to happen the first time they play each other next year. Like, they don't fucking forget about a hit like that.
You know what though? Listen, in 1985, that's a good play, and nobody gives a shit. You remember? You
Yeah,
remember
but
Wendell Clark?
hockey's
You remember Wendell
changed so
Clark?
much.
2021.
I was born in
Remember Wendell Clark on
'89,
Bruce
so
Bell?
sorry. I,
Did you see
I,
that
I
one?
wasn't even a thought in my dad's pants at that
Oh, I'm
point.
just
So I'm
like
sorry.
Wendell Clark on Bruce Bell. Guys, look it up on YouTube. Wendell Clark on Bruce Bell.
I've seen
Oh,
that.
wow.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
a nasty
yes.
one
That is
too.
just
Some of those old school hits are
Yeah,
fucking some
Yeah,
Charlestown
My
no,
shit.
favorite-
it's just
obviously
back then,
my favorite-
this
one of my-
wasn't an issue, right?
Two of my favorite Sabres hits all time were Michael Puck on Alexei Yashin, absolutely murdered Yashin at the blue line, and then obviously Brian Campbell on RJ Umberger, and just that
Yeah.
look on Umberger's
Oh,
face
yeah.
after, like just that dazed look up at the sky, like
That's-
yo, what just happened to me?
That's one of the best RJ calls of all time. An Umberger! My goodness! He's just been pummeled into the ground, Umberger!
That's like, honest to God, that's a hit that could end a career.
Yeah,
That's
It
a hit
is.
that could end a
It is
career.
scary, but when RJ calls it, it's
having
it's
a
all
good
fun
playoff
games.
too.
Like Evans, that could end his career.
Evans has been really good for Montreal this playoffs too.
Yeah.
But that's really tough loss.
Yeah, that's
Shit.
bad. That's bad.
You know, and the thing was, Scheifele was pissed. He's been pissed all night. The camera has been on him all night, and he's been losing his shit. So that was
Yeah.
just the boiling
Yeah.
point right there.
Yeah, he actually kind of reminded me, like watching him throughout this game and losing his shit has reminded me of watching Matthews. And not that Matthews was bugging out as much as Scheifele has tonight, but just the fact that of the frustration. Like the frustration was all over Matthews' face, and Scheifele couldn't turn it off this game. Like if you were watching the game, you could see Scheifele fucking bugging out the whole game. And yeah, like it's like
Yeah,
I don't.
that's just rough.
Did he hit his? I don't think he hit his
He
head
hit him
though.
in the chest. He
Oh,
hit him in
yeah.
the-
His neck like twerked it, like
Well, but-
tweaked
Well,
real bad
because
as
he
he hit the ice.
extended out. Evans extended out to put the puck in.
Yeah,
So he was
got him
vulnerable,
like
right?
chest first, but
Yeah.
that was a huge charge.
I'll tell you right now.
Huge
This game's
charge.
being played in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, this game is being played in Montreal. There'll be people outside the Bell Center waiting for Scheifele.
yeah.
100%.
I don't doubt it.
I'm
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
curious to see what does happen because like in watching that replay, he went clean through the chest.
Yeah, but the thing is,
But with the huge charge after
you
the
know, Scheifele
goal,
skated from center ice to make that.
yeah,
shot.
that dude came in with way too much speed.
Like you can't. It's like 3 or 4 steps, max. You can't fucking take a run
He
at a guy
took like
that.
20. He took like 20.
No, it was like
He was
200.
chasing him, right? So like he was chasing him, and Evans went around the net, and he went around to cut him off.
But think about why they got rid of icings, right? Or like the
That exact
icings the way
reason.
they did for that
Right.
exact hit, right?
Yeah.
Like
So he's coming down full downhill, full head of steam. Yeah, no, that's brutal, man. Like that's a nasty hit.
I'll tell you this right now, man. It's tough to watch, dude. That is tough to watch. And the only thing stopping Sharp from getting more than maybe 2 or 3 games is the fact that he doesn't have a history of it.
Well,
that's the one thing that's his only saving grace.
Yeah, and they might say, point of contact wasn't the head either, but like I got to see the play again.
I think it was though.
I think it was kind of all the whole front of him. Just
but that arm comes up into his head. That arm comes up into his head.
It's the Man, I don't know. I don't like that hit at all. I think that's just
just the chart.
Yeah,
alone.
You know what? There is the elbow at the end there.
I wonder if anything happens here. I wonder if anything happens here in the last minute of the game.
I don't know. Was Scheifele not on the ice? Probably not.
I think a 2-game suspension would be warranted on this, even though he doesn't have a history. Like that's just
agree. Like it was negligent. Completely negligent.
It's negligent and it's completely unnecessary. Like the same kind of shit that like Ryan Reeves was doing, but like without being Ryan Reeves. It's like you don't need to make Ryan Suter eat the fucking crossbar. You don't need to press. You don't need to basically like try to gouge fucking.
And Tom, it's like Tom Wilson shit too. It's just like it's not the Tom Wilson.
You don't need to do avoidable.
Does not do anything to augment the play. Completely avoidable shit that you're doing just because you're mad.
And the puck was already in. Like and he had clearly got around the net well ahead of time. Like I don't know, man. That's not a good hit.
Oh shit.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry I cut you off with that.
No.
I was just blown away by what I just saw.
Well, we should probably
you gotta stop it for breaking news like that. That's important.
That's I know we got to hop on another podcast, guys, but that was tough to watch. That was tough to watch. So with that being said, again, thanks guys for the third time for hopping on with me.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, we got to do this again sometime soon.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
Everybody, this has been 2 Goalies, 1 Mic, episode 63, brought to you by Manscaped.com. Code word Trainwreck for 20% off plus free shipping. For Cully, who unfortunately couldn't be here, producer Steve, Pat Steve from the Hockey Dummies, and Sean from Point Shot in Vancouver. Thanks for stopping by. We will talk to you next week. Let's go, Buffalo.